Thank you so much for having me today. It is with great joy and irony and everything else that I'm up here today. I recently ran for Congress as an independent. My twin brother is running for this seat as a Democrat. He and I have different opinions on how you go about doing things. However, I sincerely believe in who he is, what he's worked on, and why he's getting into this. And so, even given the situation, I'm honored to be up here today, and I'm honored to face so many old friends, neighbors. And so let me get into it. For starters, Michael and I worked at the Capitol back in the day in 2006. I was Senator Ron Tupa's intern and aide, but Michael wanted to work for the entire House. He ended up being the first videographer to film sessions, and actually got to know Bob pretty well through that, and you became a mentor of him. So that, working down there at the Capitol was really special for him, and I think really lit the fire for why he wanted to do this today. He spent the last 9 years until about last year working in education. He was I'm going to get this right, the NEA Colorado president of the Science Caucus, represented NEA in both Colorado and Washington for 5 of the last 9 years. Was the VP in Washington for 3 of those years, and put most of the legislation, both writing and putting it forward, and getting a lot of these large $1 million grants passed in Washington and then back here in Colorado to propel education forward. He had done his master's in, he did a master's in education and science. This is my twin, I should know more, but he did his master's in education and atmospheric science at the University of Miami, and then came back here and taught at Loveland High School before his daughter was born. And the last year, he spent not only helping me on my campaign, but also being a stay-at-home father. His wife, however, is a teacher of atmospheric science, or professor of atmospheric science at CSU. And so they happen to be down there with their daughter, Emma, for the last 4 months in Argentina doing a field campaign, which is the reason he was sorry he can't be here today, and they'll come back in a few more days. But they both, spent their life believing in education, believing in the need for science, and personally, the reason I think that he's doing the right thing is because we have, 3 or 4 legislators down at the Capitol who actually have a science background, which blows my mind. We certainly need more of that, and we certainly need a better education system. In 2006, he and I actually worked for Jared Polis for a little while on one of his early campaigns, and I know Jared's finally made it to the governor's mansion, but has a long way to go with the education process. I know a lot of us want to propel that along, and Michael's in a situation where he can help with that. We also have great roots in the area. We were born in Boulder, Colorado, but our cousins grew up on Avocet, right over here in Fort Collins. So when we first got into video production, we were actually filming all the high school graduations, starting in 2002, 2003 for Pooter and Collins and Rocky. And I think that's the other thing that sort of sparked his interest in wanting to go and teach high school and public school. So let me make sure I didn't miss anything specifically for him. He's even spent some time working on campaigns, both in the House and the Senate of this. I remember back when we used to walk doors with you, Randy. So the interesting part of this is he's had great policy experience in education and science. He's had great political experience, both at the state capitol, on campaigns, working in the executive branch, and working at the local level. And he has the desire. I always went the geopolitical path, and I was an independent. He's always believed that you can change things from inside the party. He's been a lifelong Democrat. He and I actually were both Democratic representatives to state, one of us for Bernie, one of us for Hillary. But he's always believed in working inside the institution, working at the Capitol, working with people on both sides of the aisle, and that change comes from the bottom up. He was also in AmeriCorps for a year. And why now? Because his daughter is going into preschool in January. He's coming back with a passion. He's coming back with excitement. And he's looking forward to meeting all of you. And again, he's sorry he couldn't be here today, but they are learning a great deal for CSU down down in Argentina on what's going on with their El Nino effect. So thank you so much.